Tacoma Prepper here, aka Eric Rosenblatt. So what would you do if you had to survive in an urban survival situation? You all know I love my kits, and so I put together an urban survival kit light, so kind of a incognito basic sort of kit, and not necessarily one to survive for a long time, but a short-term survival kit for urban situations. So let's check it out. And there it is. Let's get into it, shall we? So the first thing you're going to want is, this is an urban survival kit. You're going to want something more like the FNP90, or in this case, the PS9. But maybe you don't want to draw that much attention to yourself. So let's go back into the kit. All right, where to begin? Well, let's begin with the most unlikely candidate, and that is a Razor scooter. So it's a little folding scooter. I got a little carry strap that I've added to it. You know, it seems kind of goofy, but honestly, for urban mobility, this actually works really, really well. And it's also unassuming, because the whole point of this is to kind of be under the radar, so to speak. But you can actually move quite fast around town in paved roads and stuff like that with one of these, and carry this on your back. And I guess you could theoretically use that as a weapon if you needed to, because I mean, that's a chunky boy. But anyway, so that's item number one. So, all right, now let's get into the main kit itself, which is housed in a backpack. And the backpack, of course, is very unassuming. So this is not like some kind of military sort of thing. Just looks like a regular backpack, a regular person running around town would be wearing. And that's what you want. This particular bag has a little pocket in the strap. So we'll start there. How about that? All right. And I'm going to try to lay things out as best as I can as I go along. All right, so in the strap, we have a notebook and pen. Just, you know, I'm a fan of that kind of thing. Permanent marker, very useful thing. Both of those. A lighter. You know, you can't go wrong with lighters. So then we have the Covert Instruments Covert Companion lockpick set. Now, in certain jurisdictions, this is problematic. But in most, it isn't. So a lockpick set, now this is the thing, it's a matter of finding shelter. So, you know, getting entry to a place or whatever is certainly a factor there. But, you know, be very careful with things like that. And that's it for that pocket. Okay, so on the outside, there's a water bottle in this little mesh pocket here. Now here's the thing, it's just, like, urban survival is way different than survival in a nature sort of situation. You can always find water. So you can refill this in like a bathroom or something like that. You can always find water. But being able to carry around some water is important. And this looks very unassuming. So it's not calling attention to anything. Okay, so front pocket. This is the food pocket. So basically just have like energy bars and gum, some nuts, some food bars, various things. And then here's my little, it's like a little oven kind of thing. It's made of stamped sheet metal. Don't know you necessarily need that, but hey, you know, having that is better than not having it. Okay, so this outside pocket right here is mostly medical supplies. So there's, you know, bandages and medical tape and disinfectants and things like that, some medication that you might need. And I'm just gonna close that up because that's a whole can of worms. Now in this top pocket, this is the charging system. So I have charge cables, I have a power bank, like a really crappy ass power bank, but it works. Lots of charge cables in here, and a little AC adapter with USB on that side. So that way you can charge things. Kind of important, I would say. Keep in mind, this is kind of a mid-range, sort of light survival kit for urban environments. So I'm tuning it to that. I'm also tuning it to this pack, which I got for free. Somebody threw that away. So I'm like, hey, this is a neat pack. I'm gonna turn it into an urban survival kit. So some thick gloves, because, well, I mean, that, enough said there. A knit hat, beanie, basically. That's very good. So it's all like staying warm and protected. And then in here, this, which is a poncho, a rain poncho. Very important. Yeah, this is like your shelter stuff. Rain ponchos you could turn into a shelter as well, if need be. but it also protects you from the rain, which is super important. I've got a headlamp, of course. The thing is, I don't know if I should get into that right now, but so the thing is, in an urban survival situation, there's a lot of things that some would say are lacking in this kit. Like, oh, you don't have like a tent and a cook kit and all this stuff. Well, the fact is, you could buy things from restaurants in an area, that all the garbage and stuff that people leave in the streets and the back alleys and stuff, you could turn that into a shelter, a temporary shelter. So you're really not at a loss for resources in a city environment, in an urban environment, but this is just to supplement and keep you going for a little while. So, all right, now, yeah, we have pepper spray. So the reason for this, like, now my EDC, of course, I would have something like this, like the Ruger LCP, with the laser sight on it that I carry all the time. But not every jurisdiction is friendly to such things, but most are friendly to pepper spray. And this is generally pretty effective, so it's a decent thing to carry around. Doesn't necessarily raise suspicions. All right, so I have my little toolkit right here. Okay. Actually, I intend to add things. There's a front pocket that perfectly fits the Gerber multi-tool that I love so much. So I'd put that in there, but it's on the boat, so I don't have it. So with this right here, then I have a little pocket knife. So your standard kind of pocket knife, but the blades can be interchanged. So there's a knife and several saw blades. I prefer the saw blade. I think it's perfect. Cut yourself up a pallet or something like that and turn it into something. I'm not a fan of matches, but I have a little fire starting kit with some matches and some cotton and a striker. It's waterproof. 2 more lighters. So this one is a trench lighter that runs on lighter fluid. They're really cool looking. And then an electric powered or started lighter. So there's that. There's a couple of little bits of super glue, useful for all kinds of stuff. They say you can use it to glue up a wound or something like that. I suppose you could do that. I don't know if I would trust it, but hey, it's better than nothing, I suppose. But there's a whole bunch of other uses for that. Okay, bigger notebook. So this is a graph paper notebook, kind of like graph paper. We have the flare pen and a mechanical pencil. That's your writing implements. A little screwdriver with a bunch of little different bits in it for repairs and stuff, or various other things. So here's something that I have that is definitely keeping in line with the urban survival motif. All right, so what I have here is a soldering iron that's based on the Kanger vape form factor. So you have a little soldering tip that you screw in. And I've actually used this thing a lot, and I love it. It is super useful. USB-C rechargeable. Just like it. So I have a little soldering kit with some flux and little bits of repair wire, some Q-tips for distributing the flux, a couple different types of solder in here in this little container. So you have a soldering kit, so you could do some basic electrical repairs. There's one more thing, so a little bottle opener, keychain kind of thing. Now we have this. So this is just a set of battery-powered clippers. I had thought about having a grooming kit, like a razor and all kinds of stuff in there, and I realized I had this thing, because the idea is like, well, maybe you're living on the streets, but you want to get a job and you want to look presentable and stuff. And this definitely would work for that purpose. Some trash bags. So these are like really big commercial trash bags, which you can use to make a shelter. There's all kinds of purposes for these. Or you can use them for camouflage. I don't know. There's a lot of different purposes, but 2 big-ass trash bags. I think there's more in here, too. Then I have my hygiene kit. I'm not going to open this up because there's a lot of stuff in there, but basically you got like some tissues, some paper towels, there's a toothbrush and toothpaste, there's some wipes, a little bit of deodorant, a little toilet paper from an MRE, and like more wipes, just the hygiene kit, of course. So there's that. And then a fairly large Ziploc bag. So that kind of goes along with that. And then we have 2 smaller garbage bags. So, again, the more the merrier. It all fits in here. You can make pillows out of that. Again, you can scavenge things from an urban environment to basically build whatever the hell you want. So this is mostly snacks and drinks and stuff like that, and a lot of chocolate milk kind of stuff, some salt, some sugar, utensils that are down in here. So there's a spoon, a fork, a knife, coffee, drink mixes, tea, things like that. So all the nice things to make life good. And then, okay, this is a very old hand warmer. So this ties in with that trench lighter from this container. So you could get yourself a little bit of lighter fluid, and this little guy right here, hand warmer. These last a really long time. They're actually really amazing. But this is not one of the cheap ones. This is old school, made in the USA back in the day. And then I have these little guys. So these are little slap bands, that kind of thing, but reflective. So basically like reflective tape. If you're in an urban environment, it's good to be seen, or maybe not. And that's why you can put this on and take this off. So then we have a little sewing kit. Basic sewing kit. I think that goes without saying, the purpose for that. And then here I have yet another notebook, and a pen, and then a book. In this case, it's Doctor Who. It's a Doctor Who story. So, something to do to pass the time. Of course, protected from the weather. Then we have cordage, so a little stretchy cord, some paracord, various other things, and some long Velcro straps for repairs or whatnot, various things important to have. And of course the ever ubiquitous Mylar emergency blanket, like the space blanket that I love so much. Throw that in there. Some nitrile gloves and a deck of playing cards. In this case, these are cyberpunk playing cards, so use them how you would. And then I have a pack of Ready Bath. So these are like gigantic wipes designed for basically bathing yourself. See, this all ties into the philosophy of this kit, which is you're temporarily in an urban environment and you gotta make do and keep yourself presentable so you can get a job or whatever, or not be hassled by the cops because you look too disheveled. So keep in mind that's kind of the philosophy I'm going for. And then I have one of those fabric grocery bag things for carrying stuff. And I think that's it. All right, so there it is, my minimalist urban survival kit. I don't know. Tell me what you thought about it. Do you have ideas for things to add, subtract? This is based on my own experiences and what I would want to have in that kind of situation. But everybody's situation's different, and so recommendations are always useful. So hopefully you found this informative and maybe entertaining. We'll see you in the next one.